The state of the world has been created by the events before us. It's been created by emperors, kings, presidents, famines, plagues, guns, bombs, death, and love. Our existence is dependent on a shared history, and we learn of this history through books. And with each page, books have the power to reveal the triumphs and failures spanning generations, a power that may be recognized as a threat.
It's a trend you've no doubt read about, the growing list of books banned in our nation's classrooms.
From the American Library Association shows that attempts to ban books in the U.S. surged last year.
This year, there have been nearly 700 attempts to ban or restrict library materials and services, and nearly 4,000 titles targeted in that same time for censorship.
The debate around banning books from schools have gotten more intense, as politicians and parents have made it their mission to protect kids from pornography, propaganda, and violence.
Protesters waved signs showing illustrations from LGBTQ-themed books, calling it pornography and demanding the board order them off the shelves.
And with the increase of book bans, the one question you can ask yourself is what makes these books too dangerous to read? It's 1932 in Macomb, Alabama, the setting of To Kill a Mockingbird. The novel is told through the eyes of 6-year-old Scout Finch, and the story begins when her father, Atticus Finch, becomes the defense lawyer of Tim Robinson, a black man wrongfully accused of raping a white woman. And slowly, Scout watches the quiet old town of Macomb disintegrate through hatred and violence, both caused by racism. The book does not shy away from depicting racism in Macomb. The novel uses the N-word more than 50 times, incorporates details of rape, and contains a scene where a town mob tries to lynch Tim Robinson. For some, the content is impactful, but for others, the content is disturbing enough that parents question if it should be read or taught at schools at all.
Signs that the N-word appears in To Kill a Mockingbird, and that is the central tenet of the complaint.
In the case of To Kill a Mockingbird, the reasoning for its banning boils down to two things: language and violence. And the ban on this novel is upheld due to one fact. It's a narrative. Macomb, Alabama cannot be found on a map. The trial of Tim Robinson is fictional, and the character of Scout Finch never walked the earth. Therefore, the details of this story are unimportant, but history tells a different story. To Kill a Mockingbird was published in 1960, a time when murder was disguised as white justice and left a sea of black bodies in its wake. It was a time when American segregationists could broadcast their hatred to millions, while black children were soaked with acid for swimming in pools for whites only. There were mobs more violent than any novel could ever depict that happened here on American soil. To Kill a Mockingbird may be a work of fiction, but it is not a lie, and it's the very nature of this truth that led to its ban.
It was frightening and just something you can't adequately describe, how people can work themselves up to that point.
And racially charged, and it focuses 100% on the negatives and how, the white people were racist. And
the ban is no longer made to protect children, but to protect those who would rather alter history than face it. And To Kill a Mockingbird is not the only casualty to this thinking. You can try to erase it from the shelves of libraries and keep these narratives from the eyes of the young, but you can never erase the residue of history. The banning of these books are nothing but the attempt to subdue the world into willful ignorance. And if this succeeds, the ties of accountability will be severed, and the truth as we know it will cease to exist. And without truth, we all fall back into darkness.